Hey, today I'll be talking about episodes 58 through 60 of YanXi Palace. This episode starts off where the last episode left off, and this gosh darn drama got me again.
太后何时康复的？
你应该问太后是何时病的。
This I had already guessed because we saw her head maid getting rid of the prescriptions that Yingluo got for her, since they didn't actually need them. Her maid explains that it was the perfect move to get Xian to let her guard down and buy them some time. I had figured this was the extent of her counterattack, so I left it at that, but I should have known better. Honestly, I thought Yingluo was the brains behind this operation, that it was her idea to leave, but it's actually the Empress Dowager who has to explain to her why they're leaving the Forbidden City behind. The Emperor is so angry and disappointed with her right now that her usual little tricks aren't going to work. She has to make him really miss her, to make him want her by his side again. Which is pretty much what the Empress Dowager is doing to him, leaving him feeling guilty and wanting to reconcile but unable to do so. And then, what really blew my mind...
你是想问前世因何而亡？你说呢？
I feel like I'm always talking about how you shouldn't underestimate the Empress Dowager, and yet, damn it, there you go. I would have been the stupid upstart daughter-in-law here because I really thought Shen had the Empress Dowager on the ropes and there wasn't really anything she could do. This answer from the Empress Dowager seems to insinuate that the Lady Chen story could have been completely made up, or at the very least not exactly as it seemed. Which means she would have been working behind the scenes while pretending to be sick and set all of this up for the Emperor to uncover by himself. But I think more than that, her answer sheds light on the universal truth in the harem. The truth doesn't really matter. What matters is what you can make the Emperor believe. This opens the door for some theories about what really happened, or who knows, it could really have been mostly the truth. The point is, it doesn't matter. What matters is the Empress Dowager has the Emperor believing what she wants him to. I'm sorry I doubted you, ma'am. So with that, the Empress Dowager leaves the palace with Yingluo and they spend the next few years at Yuan Garden. She doesn't reach out to her son, but Yingluo sends the Emperor letters about the Empress Dowager. It's just a few sentences at a time, once a month, to let him know what they've been up to, but it's clear that he looks forward to them. No doubt knowing this, she even begins messing with him a bit by making the letters shorter and shorter until finally she's just sending...
李玉，去问问怎么回事。
The Empress Dowager and Yingluo came up with the perfect plan to leave the Emperor feeling guilty and missing them both. And they're also safely away from the Empress's claws. They're absent for 3 years, and in that time, Shu has a stillbirth, the 10th prince, Jia Tu gives birth to the 11th prince, and the Empress gives birth to 2 sons, the 12th and 13th princes. Shu and Jia are promoted to consort, and did I miss anything? Oh yeah, Yuan has completely lost his mind.
起来！起来！起来！打我呀！打回来！我要你打回来，懂不懂啊？为什么不还手？为什么？爱没有了，连恨我也得不到吗？
At this point, the Empress Dowager is actually ready to return to the palace, but Yingluo has been persuading her to stay. She seems to think they have the Emperor right where they want him, and it would be a shame to ruin all their hard work by calling it quits too early. But then we get a surprise visitor to let her know that that might not be the case. Our dear Fu Hong has finally returned, and after reporting to the Emperor on the army's success, he's come straight to Yuan Garden to see Yingluo. The beginning of this conversation is hilarious to me. Yingluo is like, oh, I killed your wife and I'm not sorry. And he's like, yeah, I don't care, that's not why I'm here. He tells her she needs to get her Tukis back to the palace ASAP, as a goddess has descended on the harem, and he's sure that if she doesn't return soon, the Emperor will forget all about her.
绝没有半点夸张。
Yingluo knows Fu Hong wouldn't be bringing her this message unless it was the absolute truth, so curious, apprehensive, and probably missing the thrill of a fight, Yingluo decides it's time to go home. Before she can even get a foot in her palace, she's greeted by her old friend Yuan.
奴才袁春望给令妃娘娘请安。
Yuan is here to bring her to see the Empress, and if we needed any confirmation that this new girl is a real threat, it's this impromptu visit with our twice pregnant, supposedly untoppable Empress practically falling over herself to make sure Yingluo will help her get rid of her. Yingluo's interest is officially piqued.
到底是怎样一个女人，就让皇后娘娘坐不住了？
The Empress unashamedly says she is afraid of this imperial concubine Shun, and Yingluo will be too once she meets her. She says working together is the only way they will have a chance of bringing her down.
娘娘的好意，臣妾已经领教过了，这一次合作还是免了。
Very well put. Which makes it all the more hilarious when she catches a brief glimpse of the Emperor and Shun together, and then immediately meets with the Empress again to say, yep, we're gonna need to work together on this one. The Emperor finally goes to see Yingluo. He tells her that he's come to pay a perfunctory visit just to make sure she isn't bullied by the others, but he hasn't forgiven her, so he'll spend the night in the other room. She, of course, sneaks into his room. Showing a bit of sincerity for once, she admits that taking that birth control was out of fear, not because she doesn't love him, but because she's afraid of childbirth, of dying like her mother.
可是女人活着就是为了生孩子吗？难道她们自身就没有意义了？
Now, she does still need him for her future, but it does seem more and more like she genuinely wants him to understand her. Whatever her motivations, it works. He forgives her for lying, and they reconcile. Though maybe it won't be as easy as she thought. Though the Emperor spent the night with her, he woke up early to have breakfast with the fabled Shun. Yingluo gets dressed and they are finally introduced. The Emperor has asked Yingluo to train her in palace manners, hoping they'll be friends since all the other women hate her. Shun seems to like Yingluo's straightforward personality right off the bat, but Yingluo is still very much a jealous sourpuss. Shun literally just seems like a pretty young girl. It seems like Yingluo is being unnecessarily mean to this girl who is not here by choice and clearly misses home. She doesn't even seem to understand why the other women are being so mean to her.
这是皇上亲手雕刻，特意送给主子的礼物。
Knowing harem dramas, this is almost 100% certainly an act, but giving her the benefit of the doubt, these are my first impressions.
难道你看不出来？从一开始我就不喜欢你吗？依你的性格，你若真讨厌我，早就把我赶出去了。
Of course, it's not just Yingluo and the Empress worried about her. These two haven't improved at all over the last few years. In no time, Yingluo catches wind of a plot against Shun. On the day of the Empress Dowager's late daughter's death anniversary, a shaman is brought into the palace. All of the women are supposed to be in attendance for the ceremony to pay their respects, but Yingluo drags Shun away before it starts. They make it back and settle into their seats. Each woman is meant to present a set of scriptures that they copied by hand, but when Shun presents hers, a fire starts, almost burning down Princess He An's portrait. The Empress Dowager is terrified for her daughter and asks the shaman if there's any deeper meaning here. The shaman wastes no time in pointing the finger at Shun for being an evil omen, and the other women are of course ready to pile on. The Empress Dowager falls for it hook, line, and sinker, ordering Shun arrested.
把他拿下！太后，快！太后，太后！
Her pleas don't seem to be working, but then the Empress Dowager sees something in her face that changes her mind.
带走！不要！且慢！
She tells Shun to come with her. In private, the Empress Dowager asks her some questions and finds out that she was born on the same day as her late daughter. The thing she saw that gave her pause was a mark that resembled one she'd given her daughter as a child, 2 small dots under her lip. Just as planned, the Empress Dowager calls Yingluo in to tell her she believes Shun might be her daughter reincarnated. Then, the Emperor, who couldn't make it to his sister's memorial, arrives to beg for Shun's life. Having heard just a quick rundown of what happened and believing his mother wants Shun dead, he's quite spirited in his attempts to keep Shun safe. Almost embarrassingly so. He even accuses Yingluo of bad-mouthing Shun to the Empress Dowager out of jealousy. Yingluo is hurt, but to be fair, how many other women got exactly this treatment when she was the favorite? The Empress Dowager allows him to take Shun away, and hand in hand they leave the palace. As hurtful as that was, helping Shun seems to have been the right choice. When they get back, Shun truthfully confesses that it was Yingluo who helped her, dragging her away and pricking her to make the holes that saved her life. She says Yingluo is the only warm person in the harem and she can tell that they both love each other. She even points out that he's clearly been pretending to be more infatuated with her than he is, in the hopes of making Yingluo jealous.
臣婢有眼睛，有心，自己会分辨。皇上待嫔妾是很好很好的，可是在您心里早就住进另外一个女人了。
She says if he wants to confirm it once and for all, she thinks she has a plan that can help reveal Yingluo's true feelings. Meanwhile, Yingluo's got other issues to deal with as she arrives home to find the Empress waiting. She knows that Yingluo saved Shun and she is not happy.
竟敢破坏本宫的计划！
Yingluo is not about to get tricked by this woman again, and makes it clear that she knows the Empress was once again trying to pull a 2 birds 1 stone trick. If the Empress Dowager really had killed Shun, the one to bear the brunt of the Emperor's anger would be Yingluo. After all, she's been accompanying his mother day and night for years now. Rational or not, the Emperor would have blamed her for not convincing his mother and saving Shun. And no doubt that shaman would have been ready to confess to working with Yingluo all along. Again, I love Shen's plans. She's always thinking 3 steps ahead. This would have been such an easy one for Yingluo to fall for out of this momentary uncertainty and jealousy. And the Empress's reaction kills me. Ah, you got me. Alright, yeah, I was trying to kill you.
Oh, man.
And then she scuttles off to plan her next scheme. So first, the Emperor and Yingluo. Wow, is the Emperor in love? This can no longer be considered a fleeting infatuation. He's really been doing all of this to make Yingluo return his feelings after all the things she said to him? Wow, dude. I feel like I can so understand the Emperor's feelings, but I'm just still not sure about Yingluo. I guess she no longer needs him for revenge, and she has a support pillar in the Empress Dowager, so if she's approaching him again, we can say it's because she wants to, right? And she really does seem like she missed him. But I don't know, it's hard to ignore that she literally does need his love to have a bright future. The eternal harem dilemma. With such a power dynamic, can it ever really be love? Anyway, I really like Shun. But then what's not to like, right? She's cute, sweet, she's honest about her feelings. It seems she actually does like the Emperor and wants to help him with his love woes, which is kind of funny to think about considering she shares his bed, but you know, that's the norm here. If she's not faking this, she'll go down in the annals as one of the most sincere hearts for sure. I just loved all of her interactions with Yingluo, and Yingluo absolutely needs a friend that is not Mingyu. Final relationship I want to talk about, Yuan. Can't believe I still feel kind of bad for him, but the way he accidentally called Yingluo by her name and was trying to dissuade her from doing something that would get her in trouble.
璎珞，只有帝后的祭典才可以使用念经的喇嘛。
The aw slipped out of my mouth before I could stop myself. Yingluo rightfully said, "How dare you, you betrayed me, never do that again." I totally get that, I do. But Yuan is quite clearly mentally unwell. That doesn't make it okay to do evil, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't make me more sympathetic than I normally would be. Is there any hope for reconciliation? Probably not. Till next time, thanks for watching.